All right, that should be good. Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. This is Gimbal Labs, Plutus PBL live coding. We meet every Wednesday and Thursday at the same time, starting at 14:30 UTC. And if you're catching this video later on, please know that you can find us every week, same time, same place, to hack on some Plutus together, and particularly on Thursdays, to really start thinking about governance at a small scale. This is going to be a regular working session where we look at the list of projects that are currently listed at the GPTE, and we ask ourselves, okay, are these the right projects? Are there any that shouldn't be here? Are there any where more clarity is required? Should the rewards be different for any of these? And then, of course, how do we add additional projects to this page? Now, it's interesting work because we have an immediate outcome. All of the work we're doing here ought to help make this tool itself more robust, reliable, and accessible. And that means improving the front end. This is ugly. It's not a great user experience so far, right? That means improving the Plutus code, thinking about what we might want to add to it, thinking about testing and verification. Clearly, if we're going to make this accessible, we need to improve the documentation, maybe update the Plutus PBL course. There's work to do with contributor tokens, and there's work to do with tracking, right? So this gives all of us a place to jump in and think about what we might want to be doing next. Now, how does it all fit together? Well, governance is a big topic across the Cardano ecosystem, and there's lots of experiments going on with governance right now. Some of them are large scale, like Project Catalyst. This one ought to be small scale. You can think of it more like a town hall or a city hall, right? Where we're really talking about, hey, what day is my trash going to be collected, right? How are we going to fund schools, right? Like all the things that matter within a local community. And in doing so, we're gonna build up expertise together. So maybe this looks familiar, but just to give you a quick overview, this is kind of the core engine that we're working with, that goes from learning via a PBL course, in this case, Plutus PBL, but additional courses are being conceived right now. Finishing a course, somebody gets a completion or a contribution token that allows them to start contributing. And ideally, anybody who wants to should be able to help govern a system like this at a small scale, or over time, successively more expansive systems, right? We're going to look at a lot of fractal structures as well. Now, along the way, as people learn, of course, innovation happens. People build capacity, the ability to get things done. And as people and groups make contributions, their reputation grows. And so when we talked about GPTE yesterday, I gave this high-level overview of how making a contribution is tracked via some on-chain datum. The data associated with everybody's contributor token is portable and can be used elsewhere. So that work is ongoing too. But we're also building systems, like I said, right? So yes, there's the immediate work of getting hands-on and deciding what needs to be here. But we should also, even as we're doing that immediate work, be thinking about the processes we're developing, right? These processes barely exist yet. So we need to invent them as we go. So I hope everybody's up for that. You're going to be wearing two hats if you attend these Thursday meetings. One is the contributor hat. Hey, what needs to be done? How can we make it as clear as possible? And two is the hat of a system designer, right? Who's saying, okay, well, what are the processes for deciding or reaching consensus that these projects ought to be listed here? What I was hoping we could do today is, and let me share this board as a place where we can just keep notes. There's nothing else on it yet. But Mix suggested when we did this meeting for the first time back in December that maybe we should start collecting some ideas. For now, a Miro board is a nice place to do that and giving people a map of what's going on. And so I'm going to move back and forth between this board and starting to record some notes from our conversation today and the projects page itself at GPTE. But I'd like to start with a question for everybody, which is, and you know what, let's use this as a chance for introductions too, just in case people don't know each other. Okay, so let's, if everybody's willing to unmute and jump in when it's your turn, just share brief introduction, whatever you'd like to say about yourself. And then given these headings, front end, Plutus, verification, documentation, the contributor token, data and tracking, or maybe something is missing. Of these categories, which ones would you be most excited to focus on? I just want to survey each other on that first. And then based on what we hear from each other, decide how we're going to start adding project descriptions to this page right here. Yesterday, we did a quick round of introductions at book club for anybody who was there. And we followed the protocol that people could take turns giving an intro and then passing it on to somebody else. So if you don't mind, I'll pass it to Alex first. You can give a quick intro and which category you're interested in, and then pass it to whoever you think should be next. Hey, man.
Hello. Yeah, so can you scroll down a little bit, please? So to everyone, I'm Alex. I don't know, hang out here at Gimbal Labs and help when I can. I was thinking about Treasury and escrow just recently, and there is some kind of product idea that I just, is quite far away for the, I don't know if pieces of technology exist or not. But overall, we could think about, what, for example, parts we are missing. For sure, I think one of the parts would be multi-signature contract, because the idea briefly is, let's say, yeah, I have it in my notes. Just let me open my notes. And where do I have it? Somewhere do I have it? So anyway, a treasury for a specific context, right? So, and the specific context that I was just thinking about, to ground my thinking, because it's an example that I have in front of me, just is a condominium, right? It's a property with collective ownership, and there is a problem, which is like, you have in the contract the money that you pay into the treasury each year, right? But then the managing company doesn't really have much incentive, intrinsic incentive to deliver on their contract. Yeah, there's like incentive for them to freeload. And if we could make some kind of, it would be, as I imagine, an oracle kind of, so you have a verification process for 2-3 people, a mobile app. Yeah, take a picture, like, for example, make a request, on the common board forum, like people ask, Yeah, well, there is a tree which needs to be watered more, like make a proposal. And then you have a verification process for like, okay, approve this, right? And then the managing company, if they sign the agreement, they have to deliver. And then the request verified, say like 3 photographs from mobile phone users, who live in the apartment. They just come and like NFT notification comes to them, and they just like, yeah, you have to like make this photo, please, for your own good, And then, but you see, they already kind of just came to me yesterday.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
incredible. So just, I know we're still in the introduction round right now, but 100%, right? Like this, what we are looking at here is an initial instance of a DApp that is designed to be forked and reused across as many contexts as people might find for it. And Alex, if my dreams come true, yeah, this is a tool that will actually help people in real world scenarios. And
Yeah,
so,
but before that, one smaller, like more down to earth contribution is like what I want to make. There is, we have to have probably, likely, some kind of showcase for what you say verification, right? The smart contract that we have.
yeah.
And even if it's very simple and there is not much to test, just for the purpose of education. So what I want to make is GitHub repo, which is like a series of pull requests, so that like first go through this process, like just like I usually do, like randomly bumping into things. But then when I have the process figured out, like, have a step-by-step, more complicated. So first build a test in Haskell, like manual test, right? Like write a program which asserts Cabal run and you have assertion, right? So that like A is equal to A. And then you have like more different things like unit tests for the modules that we import, for example, or build tests from Nix, but this is more advanced stuff. But just for now, to get to the tutorial for quick check and maybe showcase, there are some testing tools which are like newer than quick check. And quick check has a lot of documentation, which I already found, and like have to read through it. But overall, there are like high-level APIs around quick check and other tools, and they are in the developer experience working group in the discussion. But kind of, we have to maybe choose for ourselves. I have to choose for myself. One is like to understand how it works and to get familiar with the syntax, and then maybe just be a, like if level 3 project for the PBL, something like
Love
that.
it. Yep. PBL module. Excellent. And I'm gonna drop your name. Like, I'm thinking a lot about focus lately. And if any of us put our name on anything, that doesn't mean, that you're not thinking about the other things, right? But as partners in this work, and actually forget about that part. I know that I feel more relaxed when I'm focused on one thing, right? And if I could be part of a team where I know that because I'm focused on something, I'm helping other people, and I know that other people have my back with their focal points, that to me is a dream come true, right? That's in the most selfish possible way. That's the team I want to be on. So I'm dropping your name here with the verification subheading because I already know it's what you've been focused on. But if anybody's name goes on this board anywhere, please know that it's not meant to limit you, right? It's not meant that you should stop thinking about other things, but I'm hoping that we can all find this place of kind of peace and relaxing into the work.
Yeah, I think we could take some time, like it's different occasion, and talk about like the more bounty style things that we could do, so that like which would be like can we formulate like what I can do, but I don't have, and we can kind of put them as bounties because they will improve the code for Gimbal Labs.
I agree. You started talking about this verification showcase, and right before you got to contract testing, you also mentioned kind of Git processes.
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic because like Git is a super useful tool, and like if you wanna, like just recently someone asked on Discord like, how about this feature? And I think like the best way to research that is you go to the repo and you read about find the pull request related to this feature, and you can read about history and what people who implement this are actually thinking. But that's kind of a deep stuff. But anyway, it's like Git gives us this opportunity. Not only Git, but GitHub actually and GitLab, so that like you have tools in development and you can kind of think about. Think ahead what's getting planned and don't wait for like the how you say version release.
Beautiful. Thank you for this is an awesome start. Thank you for that share. And before we move on, I'm just going to add here, obviously there's all sorts of stuff we could imagine doing next in Plutus. I'm really excited about what this project offers so far. But is it okay, Alex, if I drop these concepts into the Plutus box for the moment? Multi-sig contracts, like the treasury contract, that's all going to be Plutus stuff that we might start thinking about. All right, and so Alex, your last job is to pass it to somebody else. Who's next?
Okay, I have Dan on the top of the list.
Hi, I'm Dan. Thanks, Alex. Hi, James. As I said yesterday, I've been out of the loop for about 3 months. I completed the Emergo Cardano professional developer course, or most of it, and just decided I needed to stop and give my brain a bit of a rest. And since New Year, I'm back and learning and going to be doing a lot of watching and trying to absorb some of the information. I was actually surprised how much I followed from the live coding yesterday. So the knowledge is in there. I just need to bring it back up to speed and get it running again. I do have a background in programming. I was a software engineer 30 odd years ago. 30, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, but mainly doing low-level stuff in assembler, writing control systems for automation and that sort of thing. So done a lot of coding, forgotten a lot of it. Got to grips with Haskell. Really like Haskell. I just have to trust that it'll do what I want it to do and not try and disassemble it into how it's doing it. Just trust that the function you write or the function you're using is going to perform. That's the biggest hold up I've had, I think, in terms of getting to grips with things. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and stop rambling. Let me find somebody to pass this on to. How about
before you do that's actually really interesting. It sounds like you're kind of naming like a pain point, but that's also excited around verification and testing, right? Like, how do we understand that Haskell is doing what we said we wanted it to do?
Yeah.
Are there other subheadings from the page that are compelling to you to be thinking about?
I'm interested in the education aspect because obviously I'm kind of educating myself at the moment, but there's that situation where although you're learning, you know more than other people who are learning, so you can contribute towards their education, which also helps with your understanding of what you are helping them to understand, if that makes sense. So the documentation and education side of things definitely interests me.
going to drop your name in this box with the same
Okay.
message as before. And actually, and this is a critical piece, right? This diagram right here is missing a lot. But one thing I think it's worth just dropping a note on here is mentorship is going to play some kind of role here, right? What's the best way to start making this transition, right, from being a learner to a contributor to a decider? One way is to mentor people along the way, right? Even if and there's plenty of educational research that says, hey, the better teachers are those that learn something more recently, right, than the ones for whom it's stale, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I need to freshen up my Haskell knowledge, because although the sort of base is in there, I've not used it, as I said, for about 3 months. So I'm a little rusty. I want to start on the PBL course, and work my way through that. But yeah, if there's anyone out there who's done it and would be interested in mentoring me, it doesn't mean I'm going to be messaging you 10 times a day, but just somebody there who maybe would spend a few minutes once in a while on a Zoom call or something, just to discuss something that I might be having an issue with. That would be really, really good. And then hopefully I can then pay that forwards in turn and mentor other people as they come through.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will now pass the gimbal over to Nelson.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Man. Yeah.
It's nice to see you, everyone. So I'm Nelson. I'm still in college. Maybe I'm the youngest of you guys. So that means my perspectives are naive, mostly. I'm here to learn a lot. Like when I came here in Gimbalips, my hope was to learn the technical aspects of development in Cardano. That has changed so much. Like when I came to Gimbalips, I wanted to learn how to develop, write code and stuff, which seems cool to me. Of course, it's cool, but I've came to know that there are so many other things than just writing the code and stuff. So I'm mostly here to learn. That will be my main goal, even for this year, maybe. So I have completed the PBL course, and I've got the contributor token in my wallet. And now I'm really excited to be contributing to the GPT projects, and I have taken a look at some of those, and I'm going to be working on one of the projects this week. So I've decided I'll work on the data and data tracking. So
Nice.
and the first one, so I have taken a look at this implement project commitment status. So I'll be working on this week. So I hope I can show something of it maybe next week. And as I go through the GitHub instance, local instance, there is, of course, the one with documentation of initializing a different instance of GPT. So I was really excited to do that one, but of course it's a huge task. And yeah, of course, I hope I can figure it out within the couple of months ahead. And I really want to have an instance, maybe even if it's on pre-production network. I want to have one instance and document the whole setting up, and maybe I can put it out for everybody else too, and maybe people can contribute and make it better. So that's my current goal for now. I'm gonna stop there and okay, who's next? Maybe I'll pass the mic to Surah.
Awesome. Thanks, Nils.
Hey, thanks, Nelson. Hey, James.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, James. I still need to get you that thing. I didn't know it would be so difficult. So, briefly, I've been a Web 1.0 developer back in the 90s. Worked mostly with technologies like ASP, ASP.NET, PHP, MySQL, those sort of things. And then in the last 10 years, I did a U-turn and moved into social project where I worked as a program manager for a nonprofit. And we used to work in villages where we constructed toilets, provided clean drinking water, provided healthcare, so those sort of things. And one of the best project during that phase was planting trees. So we planted around 25,000 trees along the national highways, and that was one of my high point of the time. And then I came across a couple of years back. I came across Charles' famous YouTube that whiteboard video, like most of everyone was come across. Many people have come across that, and that was mind blowing. And the way he explained the things. I thought blockchain was all about JPGs and NFTs and those sort of things, but that was really gave me new insights. And then I came across James while trying to name Charles Lobster, if you remember. There's a lobster naming, and I was trying to figure out how to do that. And I came across James, and he explained those things. I still couldn't name it at that time. I could now, of course, but so. James, then Jimba Labs, and then the PBL course. And I finished the mastery level 301 and 302. And I think I should finish 303, and then if still projects are available, I think I'll start contributing there. So that's all. Thank you, guys. So I'll pass it on to Dan.
We say to who? Say it again. Sorry.
Dan.
Oh, I think we got Dan already.
Yeah, I was already on.
We got Justin, Sean, and Janti are here.
Okay, Janti then.
Janti, are you able to talk today? Or sometimes he multitasks.
No, I'm watching and hearing.
Hey.
Hello, guys.
Hey, man.
Long time, so I thought of joining today.
We're just kind of talking through what we want to prioritize. So I know that you are actually running a company right now. So maybe your answer is a little bit different.
I'm busy with many activities, but for me again, everything front-end related. And as I said, last year I was quite busy again with Equival development with Mix. So we were quite busy on my end. I had to look into more external tasks such as doing pitches and other white papers, quite admin stuff. And now I'm back into development and looking into the PBL to catch up. To see how I can also continue contributing. Documentation, good. Volunteering for the French. Even yesterday, I was doing some mixed French struggling style with mix. So we are looking into doing a doc in French and help out with the translation. I have a few team members from Congo who kind of can translate French to English, so that will help me a lot, so that I stay on the technical side of things. But yes, personally, any front side will be my personal focus. And I saw quite a lot had happened since last year with the front end using the script reference. And yes, nice to see that everything has been growing on your side.
Thank you. You know, as Nelson was talking about, like kind of building out documentation for initializing an instance of GPTE. In the work that we're doing together, when the time is right, we can think about if Equival wants an instance of this to run independently and to kind of open up and push additional development work. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a web of concerns, right? And we're not gonna hit every point at once, but that's another thing on my mind as we think ahead to that time.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's good to hear your voice.
Nice to see you again, and Happy New Year to everyone.
You too. All right, who's next? Maybe we can pass it to Justin next.
Hey, James.
Hey.
You could, I'm surprised I'd be the first one, but you could probably put me under Plutus. It's probably the one I understand the most and suck the least at. So I guess to introduce, I'm Justin. I started this course a few months ago and just trying to learn as much as I can. I don't come from a programming background, so I'm sure all of you are much more proficient than I am. Dan, I think you've probably forgotten more than I've learned yet. So I actually have a job currently, so I dip in here when I can. I work in kind of a finance role. So just trying to learn as much programming as I can. I really like how in the weeds we get here sometimes, and I follow the Discord trying to see what other people's problems are and get the solutions. But yeah, mainly just working towards learning and trying to put together projects that I've always wanted to see on chain. So yeah, and to say, yeah, I think the Plutus and Haskell work is of the full, all the components that go into a dApp. I think that's the stuff that resonates with me the most.
Awesome. It's good to have you here. Yeah, it's really fun to have your insights. And for anybody who doesn't know, Justin already built a full stack application using some Plutus contracts. So that's pretty incredible that you're making such fast progress. All right, who are we passing it to next?
How about Ishan S?
Hello. Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is my first meeting, attending my first live coding. And just 2 days back, I got my PBL completion token. And even before that, I've been occasionally popping over to the Gimba Discord when I have, I don't know, any kind of issues with the Plutus apps or repo or anything like that. I just come in and start chatting, and it's been really nice to kind of interact with the community in general, and also the having done the Plutus Pioneers program, the second cohort, and the Immortals program. I think like I've had the most fun doing PBL. Like I can say that with complete confidence. So thank you for making that happen. Okay, and right now, like, okay, for the past year, I've been pretty much completely dedicating myself to Cardano. I graduated pretty recently, a few months back actually, but I've been spending most of my time on Cardano even before that. And right now, I'm also working as a developer for a small project called RAM4, if you guys have heard of it. And so kind of learning on the job. So right now, the main thing I'm trying to learn is front end, because that's not really my strong suit at all. And JavaScript kind of scares me. So like I've been trying to get not scared of it recently. And so I think like optimistically, I would like to do some front end in the future for GPT, but at least for the next few months, the most I can see contributing is in the education aspect and the Plutus aspect. So like either in terms of like writing validators themselves or in terms of explaining them, for example. So one of the ideas I had was like one of the fun parts of the PBL course for me was like actually going to the pre-prod environment and going to the Gimba faucet and unlocking some tokens for myself because it like kind of validates what you're learning because it's actually working. So like maybe having this library of like I don't know, for lack of a better term, like Lucas puzzles, which is like things that people can go on public testnets and try to unlock themselves. And maybe the more they solve these puzzles, it creates kind of a reputation system within learners. I think that would be like a cool way to apply what you're learning as you go through maybe more advanced modules. Yeah, also a question I had was like, what are the future modules? Because I see in the repo that 304 is kind of being like a work in progress. So yeah, sorry, lots of questions and comments, but that's my rough thoughts. Thank you.
That is awesome. I love this idea of Plutus puzzles. And thanks. Yeah, I think we could have some real fun with that. And then this question, what are the future modules, is absolutely critical. So thanks for throwing that one in. I think Juan's here. Hey, Juan. I think we got Lucas and then Juan. What we're talking about, guys, is just out of all the topics that are currently listed on here, whether it's front end or Plutus, verification, documentation, the contributor token, data, what would you be most excited, if anything, to be working on here? And if you want to throw in a little bit about yourself as by way of introduction, feel free to do that too.
I have difficulty listening for some reason.
You can't.
So, sorry. So I just wanted to say hi to everyone. I'm basically a Cardano tourist in terms of I just crossed my mind to describe it like that because I've been doing so many different things. So from that specific board, I don't know exactly what I would be able to take on. I did when I joined Gimbal Labs back in June, think of helping on the dashboard side, but I'm far from that for now. So I every time James keeps talking about GPT working on just focus on one thing and deliver that one first, I feel like it's a hint for myself. So I'm all for that. Yeah, but what I'm doing now, just on a personal side, is trying to partner, for example, because I do a bit of the project management and product management and technical business analysis, bridging with the clients, for example. So I'm partnering, hopefully with Mesh, for example, and they tell me that when they have clients that just want to do maturing of their specs and trying to bridge that. So that's basically me now, to try to work on that capacity.
I think that's beautiful. I'm just going to put comms next to this too. I think you've done a really good job, like sharing out with people like what's going on. Thank you for all of that. And one of the early goals of the PBL course is, of course, to provide people a place where they can go sufficiently in depth into what they want to focus on. But at the very same time, the course is also a survey overview that I think can do a pretty good job preparing project managers, right? People who are going to be able to think about the architecture of a Cardano project and be able to support others with that. So yeah, Lucas, I really hope we can be exploring that together in a continued way over time. It's super valid. Juan, do you have sound?
I think I can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Super, yes. Well, yes, I am. I'm very intentional this time for making a contribution, and I'm going to start with the translations for the Spanish GPT PBL, and that's the part that I'm going to work on and keep up with all the new documentation that we come up with. I mean that the program develops, and little by little with balance.
Little by little with balance. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Good.
I like that this setup. I like that a lot. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Everything's feeling more substantial and real, and like we can really feel, I hope, balanced. And I love this concept of relaxing into the work. I think that's one of the terms in the Emergent Strategy book, like really just how do we get real things done? We know that we're safe doing them. We know, whatever that is. And Sebastian, hey, we were just doing a round of greetings and talking about what we might want to focus on when it comes to building out some of the projects on GPTE. How's it going?
Hi, man. Hi, everybody. How are you? I don't know. I'm like a drummer trying to follow the rhythm of the music. The most part of the last year, I was trying to connect the necessities of the people with trying to help the people to how to start to develop on top of Cardano with the help of Gimba Labs and Morgan. In general, I took all the tools at my hand to make something special with the people and the intentions of the people. And many friends, Juan and Pedro and Alex, and many people, and Frederick. And I took the ideas and the capacity, the skills of many people in this room. So I think this year will be the same. But I think this year has to be a year of decisions and solid movements for the future. So that will be my first ideas of the year for the moment. Thanks.
Thank you. No, and thank you. I love the drummer metaphor, and you've been connective glue, thread, whatever we call it, between so many different initiatives. Thank you for all of it. People should know that you are working on translation already, right? So
yes, we are working on with the East Asia organizations are really interested in teach their people and their students how to start to develop on top of Cardano. And at Gimba Labs, we are providing the support to make it happen. So that's the initial stage. I think in each continent of the world, we have people interested in start to work. So we are in that.
There's some really good work coming out of Gimba Labs Indonesia right now. And I say that knowing that what's coming is, some of you who are up really late with us right now might not have to stay up late because you'll have more localized Gimba Labs forks going, which will be a little bit sad. We're gonna have to find ways to still get together at different times, even once these localized versions start to really take root. But one of the things Gimba Labs Indonesia is doing is having a few people work through the course so that they can start contributing to the front end and the Plutus a bit of GPTE, but also so that they can create their own fork of GPTE, like Nelson mentioned, right? Initializing an instance. And they're going to use that to organize the work of translating the course first into Indonesian, but then into languages beyond. So we've got really exciting patterns starting to take root. And I just want to keep emphasizing that for all of us, including myself, right? Like the way we pay attention to the patterns we're creating is a core part of the work, because we want to be able to document these processes, and we want other people to be able to pick up the processes along with the code itself and make it their own. So going through this, it's great just to see, right? Like this is, here's our seeds, right? These are, all of us have interests in these different places. I'm obviously interested in education and want to continue supporting the work of updating the PBL course in particular, but then continuing to think about what else we need. I want to keep doing experiments with Plutus, and I'm going to keep playing around with the front end. So those are 3 places I feel really excited to put my name. So I want to go back to Sean. You made a great point about the front end, you know, just feeling more confident with it. And so I want to mention for everybody, yes, one goal here is to improve the DApp itself, okay? But another goal here is to help all of us understand these tools better. You know, when I sit down, I could show you the contributor tokens page. I earned my first contributor token last week, also just because I wanted to make sure the system works. But I completed, if we go to reporting and data, let's go by project. I completed project number 5, which was just to build a commitment success modal. Okay, so you'll now see that pops up. But every time I work on this, I feel more confident teaching other people about it, understanding how mesh works, for example. And these, yes, like, do we need more styles for these cards? Yes, like I've mentioned before, it'd be nice if these were more beautiful, right? Or maybe they display other information. But this is an example right here. Create a new style for project card. It's not like there's a ton of rewards on here, right? These are pretty low amounts of tokens for the time being. But what we want is for as many people as possible to do this task, because it's a learning activity first and foremost, okay? If you go into the front end repo, you figure out how to make or restyle this card. You go through, like Alex mentioned, the Git process of submitting a merge request on GitLab. You're learning a lot more than just contributing to this project. And that's what I hope is happening in all of these, right? Style the commitment page. Figure out how to build a modal for these different cases, right? And this one that I did, number 5, it's still up so other people can do the same, right? Different interfaces. I initialized something for the issuer to manage the treasury, but just like, and actually let me go to the pre-prod version of this because it's a better example. It's where is it here? It's just there. obviously, like this page is not even close to what you would expect in a production DApp. It's ugly, right? There's just information just banged onto the page, right? That's on purpose, right? I want to illustrate a concept here and then give anybody who wants to the chance to learn about how this app works by making this more beautiful, okay? And if we go back and let's look at that project description again, right? Create the interface for the issuer to manage the treasury. Yep, that's exactly what's happening right there. There might be several submissions to this one, okay? Which is good. If we're building a headless app, we might want, just like there's a bunch of different WordPress themes, we might want a bunch of different front-end UX options for people to look at treasury management. All we know for sure is that this isn't it yet, but there's stuff here for you to play with. So if you go in and you try to make this better, I guarantee you're going to learn about the project. By the way, there's this dev details button that I recommend people play with because it's designed to help you just learn a bit more about how data is passed around in Mesh. And if you go into this repo and you find the commitments page, you find this transaction distribution component, you'll see how all of this information is created, where it comes from, and in doing so can learn. So I hope that message is coming through loud and clear, that in these early days, these front-end projects are as much about building everybody's capacity as it is about, living up to some standard for perfect work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Now it's going to be really fun. Someday, like a couple weeks from now, we're going to open up this page and these cards are going to look better because somebody did that. That's going to be a really cool moment. And we're going to celebrate that together. So one thing that I would love to ask of everybody, and this relates also to what Alex was saying about Git processes. I don't know if these project descriptions are as clear as they need to be yet. Lucas, see you soon. Oh, Sarah, man, of course. Oh, we're just getting started. One thing I would love to ask of everybody in the week to come is just to take a look at least one of these projects and decide if you think the project description is sufficient, right? I want people to feel when they read these project descriptions like they have a lot of clarity about what they're being asked to do. And if we can really dream big, I want people to feel like they're already learning just by reading this project description, right? This is a continuation of the PPBL course. One way to manage that work is to look at the repo. So in the GPTE front end, maybe you've already pulled this down, right? You can clone the repo locally if you haven't already. Where these projects are held is in the projects folder. And each one of these is a markdown file. Oops, over. Okay, so you can see this is number 1 right here, ID number 1. That corresponds to the file name on the markdown file. there is some, this is YAML metadata embedded in a markdown file. And if I show you the raw version of this, you can see it's just in between these triple dashes at the top of the page. Okay, so this gives us the ability to have like file metadata in markdown. And then the rest is just using some basic markdown formatting. And you can see this is what appears on the page right here. Okay. So my immediate ask would be, if you can go through, read what's here, and if something doesn't feel clear, either submit, you can edit it and submit a merge request and we can look at those together, or just add an issue to this repo. You may have to request membership of the repo. So if you need the ability to contribute here, you'll have I think there should be like a request button right here or so. If you do this from your GitLab account, anybody who requests access, I'll just add you to the list of members who can be pushing changes up here. Okay, some of you are already on this. Just like everything, I'm talking about a few different things at once right here, right? Git processes like Alex mentioned, but also moving towards shared ownership of these project descriptions. I will write up that next step that I just kind of talked through right there after this call. But any questions about that request?
Can you provide the repo on the chat, please?
Yep.
Super.
Yeah, anybody who just wants to request access right now, there's the link. Now, in addition to the projects folder, which is live, there's a project drafts folder where there's a bunch of tasks that when they're ready, I'd like to add these, right? And it's beautiful because all we have to do once these are ready, and this is not yet, right? Here's a blank one. I'd like to, this is what Nelson was just talking about. Create a written guide for how to set up a GPTE instance, okay? It's just not fleshed out yet. So Nelson, one thing you could do if you want is go in here and write the task for yourself. And then really the work ahead for us is to say, hey, how do we decide when the draft of a project description is ready to be dragged from the drafts folder to the projects folder? That's all it takes, right? We draft them here. When they're ready, we put them here, and now they're live, okay? So feel free, anybody, to go through this, see what's here so far. These were the two most recent ones from our last meeting. Mick suggested that maybe we want some kind of Miro board. I just decided to initialize that today, but if people have ideas for what needs to be there, we can come back to that. And then Z mentioned last time that we probably want some kind of verification process for this code base, right? So today we're having kind of like this launch meeting to start the year and start digging into this work. But I hope you can see how the work is going to develop. If we have this 90-minute block every Thursday, I think we can do some really good work together, defining these tasks, deciding when they're ready to publish, and in doing so, bootstrapping a governance system. One of the best things that can happen to us is that eventually some disagreement is going to emerge about whether a project description is sufficient. And those disagreements are going to be where governance processes come from. So let's push each other and see if we can get to that point too. Sean, see you soon. Yeah, be in touch on Discord anytime, and I'm really glad you made it today. Thank you. Any questions about kind of that high level process that I'm outlining right here? Cool. So really the last thing I wanted to share today, one of my personal goals is just to do more co-working sessions where we're just sharing a space and getting stuff done together. So I don't have anything else specifically on the agenda today. I wanted to have this time to give this overview, to show you where this is. But maybe I'm happy just to keep hanging out for the next 20 minutes if people want to jump into this repo, request access, start reading through projects. And if you see something, just unmute and say a word or two about it. Does that sound like an okay way to close out today?
Yeah.
We can pretend we're even in the same room. We can dream really big and imagine all being in the same place together, doing this work like a real team. All right. I'm going to mute myself and work on just writing up that next step that I just talked about. Okay. And feel free to use this time. If you have to jump off, go for it. We'll see you soon. And if you have anything to say as you're looking, just make sure to unmute and jump in. Nelson, see you at book club. Yeah, see you in a few.
Hey, James, can you share the link to that mirror board, please?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Thanks, man.
Got it. Do these next steps feel coherent enough? Do these next steps feel coherent enough?
Yes, yes. I do have access to the repo, so I can check the MD files and I'm able to read through one of each. Yeah, and then through the next steps. I think the so far they're clear.
Cool, thanks. I'm gonna check those, if anybody sent in a request right now, I'll check that.
The completion token is quite contributor token access. Yeah. Maybe that would be the
I'll go
first
through
step.
one by one. Yeah, we're still in the early days of even talking about the contributor token. That's a should get like a notification, I think. This is a, by the way, just to put it out there again, people can ask for access to this, and this is a completely wrong repo because it has private keys in it. I mentioned this yesterday, but just want to show everybody this again. That's a private key. Don't ever do this with mainnet, but for educational purposes, I don't care if people start being able to mint test contributor tokens because they're playing around with this. So. Cool. Hey, I'm going to shut this one down because book club is coming up in 5 minutes. It's good to see both of you. Check you real soon.